Hello everyone, today I'm going to be talking about the 9x25 Dillon cartridge. Specifically, we're going to be shooting it through a Glock 20. And what's cool about the Glock 20 is it's a pretty versatile handgun. You can shoot 4 different calibers through it with the appropriate conversion barrel. That would be 40 Smith & Wesson, 357 SIG, 10mm, and then finally 9x25 Dillon. Again, you got to use an appropriate conversion barrel. Lone Wolf makes a conversion for each of those 4 rounds. The cool thing is you don't need to swap out any other parts other than the barrel itself. The extractor, magazine, and everything else in a Glock will remain the same. And the reason for that, of course, is it's the same base cartridge. The 10mm and the 9x25 Dillon are just a little bit larger, with the 9x25 being necked down to a 9mm projectile. Now, this is my first Lone Wolf barrel that I've bought, and I'm pretty impressed with it so far. I've put through about 200 rounds or so through it without any type of malfunction whatsoever. I'm pretty impressed. In particular, I put a 90 grain bullet through it. I reloaded a 90 grain Sierra bullet, and it was causing a little bit of bulging where the bullet fit in, which meant that it was kind of a tight fit into the chamber. I was a little bit concerned about it not cycling properly, however it did. So very good. This particular barrel is just a Glock 20 stock length, 4.6 inches. They do make larger, longer barrels, 6 inches and maybe a little bit higher. I forget the exact dimensions, but if you wanted a little bit larger barrel, you could go ahead and choose that, but I just kind of wanted to keep it stock length. That way the barrel wasn't sticking too far out past the gun, just, you know, a tiny bit as it would be with the stock Glock barrel. Now, for those of you who may not know much about the 9x25 Dillon, I'll give you a little bit of a brief history about it. And basically, the 9x25 Dillon is a wildcat cartridge, which means it's not very popular whatsoever. It's kind of like a homemade round, so to speak. But it was made by Dillon Precision, Dillon, they make presses and other reloading equipment. And basically the whole idea behind it was for IPSC competitions and other handgun shooting competitions. And the big thing that they wanted out of it was shooting something that was kind of similar to maybe the 9mm or the 38 Super, that went faster so that they could get more points. IPSC, there's something called going major, and if it's beyond a certain power factor, you get extra points out of it. So that's the whole reason why they designed it. The 9x25 Dillon is very interesting because the recoil in many ways is you feel less recoil as you would with maybe the 10mm or the 40 S&W, because it doesn't snap up so much. The recoil is almost directly back into the gun, and since you're shooting a smaller projectile out of it, it tends to be a very flat trajectory, so you could shoot longer distances without having to compensate for the difference, or for the bullet dropping, so you may be able to be on target more easily. And certainly another advantage is it's going to penetrate better than what the 10mm would, because of, well, of course, it being a smaller bullet, so it's going to penetrate more easily because it has the same power behind it that a 10mm would. It's the same push, so to speak. So, you know, do you need to have a 9x25 Dillon? Certainly not. It's just fun to shoot a different caliber. You know, that's why we get any other calibers, right? Just for the fun of it. And you know, it has kind of, may have a certain use. Like I said, it would penetrate better than what the 10mm would, so maybe you would find it to be a good round to carry out with you in the woods for protection against bear or perhaps other large animals, depending on where you lived. So that's pretty much what the 9x25 Dillon is. All you're going to do once you get your 9x25 Dillon barrel is field strip your Glock. Okay, I'm going to try to do this on camera. Okay, we're empty. Okay, set that there. Take your stock Glock barrel out, set it aside, and you drop the Lone Wolf barrel in. Okay, so nothing fancy there, just a simple field strip, and then you put the new barrel in. Okay. Okay. So again, stock length, so we really don't have the barrel sticking out any more than what the stock would be, which I like, and you're ready to go. You would just go ahead and use your standard Glock 20 magazine and fill it up with your 9x25 Dillon. Okay, so now for the shooting video and the shooting footage, so I hope you enjoy. Okay, so if you're going to reload for the 9x25 Dillon, which is a good choice by the way since it's cheaper than buying them online, what you're going to do is start out with a 10mm case. Okay, in this case I have Starline brass. You can get 500 rounds, or excuse me, 500 cases for about $85 with shipping included from Starline's website, which is pretty cool. You're going to want to start with fresh brass because if you use once fired or multiple fired brass, when you neck it down to a 9mm neck, you may have problems with the neck cracking and not being as strong. I mean, you know, you could probably do it with once fired brass if you have it laying around, but it is recommended for brand new. So what I'm going to always do, okay, and again I'm using the Dillon brand 9x25 dies. I'm not sure if any other manufacturer makes it or not, to tell you the truth, but you're just going to go ahead and put it in. Okay, push it down with a little bit of force, and there we have an outputted round. You can see how it's necked down. Okay, and in comparison, okay, we got two 10mm cases. The one on the left is of course the one that's necked down. You can see how it has a smaller lip, or a smaller neck rather. And one thing to point out, okay, I'll show you real quick, see the difference in size. Obviously it's smaller. One thing to point out is the dies, they do flare out the ends a little bit. I don't know if you can tell. It's not a lot though. In fact, I mean, it's when I push it in there, it's really not sticking in there too well. If I had my choice, I would have the ends flared out maybe a little bit more. I guess what some people are doing is using the RCBS 9mm flare die. It will work in this cartridge apparently. I know the Lee 9mm flare die does not work just because the 10mm casing is too large to fit in, but for whatever reason the RCBS allows the full case to fit inside. The other alternative would be to use a 357 SIG case, or excuse me, a 357 SIG die, a flare die, which would also work if you need any more flare out. Okay, today we're going to be shooting the Glock 20 with a Lone Wolf conversion barrel that converts it to 9x25 Dillon. Okay, you can see the logo there. It's stock length for the Glock 20, and we're going to go ahead and see how it goes. Okay, so first up will be the 115 grain bullets in the 9x25 Dillon. These are Hornady XTPs. Shooting it through the chronograph. So 1620. Okay, let's go ahead and try it again. 1634. 1607. 1596. 1605. Okay, that was 5 rounds and we're all out. So now we have the 90 grain Sierra bullets. The 115 grain we're going about 1610 feet per second, so these should be upwards of 1900 and maybe a bit past, so we'll see. Okay, 1839. So a little bit lower than I thought. 1849. 1849. 1849. 1849. 1849 again. Okay, 1851 that time. So these were very consistent loads. These definitely can be pushed a little bit harder. Okay, so now we have another 115 grain Horty XTP bullet. This time this is with blue dot, loaded quite a bit harder, so we definitely should see it surpassing the 1610 that we were getting out of the last batch. Okay, let's see. 1761. 1789. 1755. 1774. And 1779. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and use the 115 grains of the hot loads to see what we can do to a gallon container filled with, well, water, but it's turned into ice by now. Been out there for days, weeks even. Where's it hit? Okay, I think we got it on target. Okay, I think it's dead. So yeah, that was filled with ice and it's destroyed now. So the 9x25 Dillon is a pretty powerful load. Okay, now we're going to try the 115 grains using the long shot powder, and a distance about 15 yards. We have a target here. Let's see. Okay, looks like we're out.
There's a bunch right in there.
Okay. Okay, so out of 10 rounds, it looks like I put 8 on target at 15 yards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it's not too bad, nothing great or anything, but still getting kind of used to how it shoots. But for 15 yards, it's not too bad. It definitely seems to be an accurate load, at least more accurate than I am. Okay, these are the 90 grain Sierra bullets with about 11 grains of long shot, so we'll see how these shoot. Do you know where they're shooting? No, I mean bullets.
Oh.
Can't quite tell.
Hi.
Okay, hi.
Hi.
Yeah, those were definitely shooting high. I had to aim almost right at the bottom of the target, so a lot of those are going to be misses. Let's see. So again, at 15 yards. There we go. Looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on there. The first several I missed. They were shooting high and I wasn't sure where they were going. But these 90 grains, which are going about 1850 feet per second, they definitely come out pretty hot and they go high. Okay, so last up we have the 115 grain Hornady XTP loaded up pretty hot with blue dot. So we'll see if I can hold steady and see how these group. Okay, yeah, those are pretty accurate, I think. Definitely more accurate than I am, but
Yeah, those are the ones.
I think those pretty much all went on target. Well, on the paper anyways. Let's go ahead and see. Now, I don't know if these would be any more accurate than the other ones that I shot, but since I'm getting a little bit more familiar with it, I'm getting a little bit more accurate. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I still missed 2 off of paper apparently, but definitely probably jerked it a little bit a couple times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So still not too bad at groupings for 15 yards. Okay, so we can see the targets from left to right in the order that we shot it. The left being the 115 grain long shot, mid-range load. In the middle, the 90 grain Sierra bullets with a mid-range load, and then lastly on the far right would be the 115 grain Hornady XTP loaded up with blue dot, and I think about 14.5 grains, which is pretty hot. I wouldn't really push it far past that at all. Again, I think it's definitely an accurate round no matter how you look at it. Certainly more accurate than I'm able to shoot it at, but for 15 yards it's not too bad. It'd be a bad guy down or a bear down, however you want to look at it. The one in the middle is certainly the worst out of the 3, mainly I think because with a 90 grain bullet they're really shooting high, so you have to compensate on the sights. But the 115 grain bullet and both loadings are pretty true to how the sight picture is. Hey pup. Okay, so again we've got the Glock 20 with a Lone Wolf 9x25 Dillon conversion barrel. Definitely a fun gun to shoot.